Welcome back to minus 16. Yes, we did miss a single episode. Things kind of happened around us, but we are back. And not only are we back, we're back plus one. Back with us again is Sam Beckman. Hey, how you doing?
G'day. Yes, good to be back. Thanks for having me back, gents. I had a great time last time, so I thought I actually sent a message to Daniel and said, mate, I'm keen. When am I coming back? And anyway, you guys held off for a while, but thankfully you've welcomed me back with open arms. At least I think you have.
He practically was begging me to come back on, so it's good to have him back.
I got the message very late early in the morning yesterday, and I can't be asked to argue. Yeah, let him come on. Whatever.
Good on you, mate. Thank you.
First of all, before we get into talking tech, we've had a lot of preamble because Alex only just joined us and we've been having a long chat. I just want to say full respect to Daniel and how well he's looking. Look at the disappearing Daniel. Look at it. A picture of health.
Nice.
Thank
Good
you,
work,
guys.
mate. Well done.
Impressive. And again, just give people that are thinking of it. It's not been that hard from what you said either, right? It kind of is doable.
Yeah, it's just simplifying what you eat and exercising more. It's not a hard science thing to put together. It's just the mental side of thing of actually starting it. I've been saying for 4 years that I need to do it, so it's only taken me 4.5 years to get it done. So it's all good. I'm here now, though.
I'm guessing he's not starting a YouTube channel because all he's going to say is eat less, exercise more. That's my channel.
Yeah. No. There'll be no fitness gurus content coming from me.
Right, so back to the world of tech. There's plenty to talk about. We're going to start off talking about the Pixel. Of course, that is now, I know, Sam, you've been making videos about it. You've got that in your hands to talk about. Alex and I were at the Honor event yesterday for the V5, so we've got that to talk about as well. Obviously, Apple's event has been announced formally now, and there's this new hype feature that Daniel's picked up on, and scams. The hype feature in YouTube and scams. So, we've got lots to talk about. Let's start with Sam, shall we? And let's talk Pixel. One of the few Androids I've ever owned and used. I had a Pixel Pro. Yeah, Alex gave me one of his when I was with him 2-3 years ago. And I went and bought, I think, the Pixel Pro 8. I used it for a summer and quite liked it, actually.
Interesting. And then back to iPhone, was it after that?
Back to iPhone, yeah. But that was more, as much as anything, for a professional reason because I was niching down into that particular channel. But actually using it, yeah, I enjoyed it. Nice bit of hardware. It felt quality. It looked good. I liked it.
Yep. So a bit more of an iterative upgrade this year. We had a fairly decently sized redesign last year with the Pixel 9 lineup, but universal acclaim, right? So I think we're all fairly satisfied that they've just sort of refined things this year rather than felt the need to, redesign the wheel, so to say. So I think, pretty impressive lineup. What do you guys reckon?
Oh, don't come to me yet.
I mean, obviously, the event itself, I know we're not getting deep into the event. It's odd the style that Google decided to go with it because they've got a good device. And I don't know if it kind of devalues it by trying to go the celebrity route and just go for the TikTok generation rather than saying, look, we've actually got a really good handset and be taken. I don't know.
But what have they done in years gone by, though? I mean, they've gone for that slightly more technical oriented. I mean, look, I don't think Google ever really nails their launch events, if we're being completely honest.
So I was listening to another podcast that say that Google almost themselves don't take their hardware too seriously because they've got everything else to rely on. And the fact they've got the software running works everyone else's devices anyway. So is that true? Do they not really focus too hard on is it just a cherry on the cake for them?
I think really their hardware is just a funnel into getting people using their software. I think that's a fairly common sentiment that a lot of people agree with. And so I think, to be honest, getting Jimmy Fallon on board for the event, some people, aren't that impressed. But I think the vocal, those who are being vocally sort of unimpressed with the launch event aren't, the target market for who they design that launch event for, obviously. I mean, and so I don't hate the move of just trying to find a different crowd. And from my brief lookings online, I think it actually did quite well in comparison to previous years' launch events. So, in terms of metrics, viewers and things like that, did quite well. So they certainly hit some improvements there. And from the sort of the general audience, again, not us tech enthusiasts, I think it was somewhat well received. And I think to see Jimmy Fallon, someone who's not known to be a tech head, by any means, to see him up there and having a bit of fun with the devices and whatnot, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see but I really do think they're trying to reach a different market. You know, they've probably got those of us in the tech world who are keen on pixels. They've already got us on board. So now they're trying to stretch their wings a little bit.
It's
How
definitely
accessible?
it was an iPhone user event that was definitely targeted towards a specific Apple customer base. And the Pixel, you said it kind of there, like it's like the hardware is there to funnel people into the software. It's like a gateway drug. The Pixel is like a gateway drug to the Android world. And I think Google have to kind of balance it, right? Like if they make their Pixels too good, which they obviously have the capability to do, it's Google. If they make their hardware too good and like above a Samsung or any of the other OEMs that make Android phones, they risk annoying their partners by taking too much of their cake away. Like there's such a fine balancing business act that I think Google have to toe the line with, that they can't.
Really?
They wouldn't be able to. Well, you think about it, Samsung and Google have this really tight partnership. You know, like Samsung arguably is the face of the whole platform because they use a lot of Samsung products in their marketing material. And Google make a lot of money from Gmail activations when people switch to Android. So I guess there's got to be that element of, well, we can't make it too like much better, because imagine if our partners are like, hey, you're taking away our market share, there's big issues. So I imagine there's some sort of business line that they have to toe.
That's interesting. I've not heard that insight before. I get that people often reflect that Pixels do seem, well, certainly a bit underpowered is probably the main sentiment shared across the tech community. But I've not heard, really, maybe I'm being naive, but I've not heard people say that Google are potentially doing it strategically so as not to offend partners.
I don't know if it's that I'm stupid, but I've looked at these events and I've struggled sometimes. And actually, Alex, when we were there yesterday, Snapdragon, which we'll talk about that in a minute, but when you've got Google and Snapdragon, they're kind of, where does their priority go? Why would Snapdragon prioritize Samsung over Pixel, over Honor?
Money.
So it pays.
Financial.
Right.
Oh yeah, the Samsung ship more for one, but also like Samsung would invest in Qualcomm to do that Elite for Galaxy, for example. That would be an investment on Samsung's behalf for that collaboration to take place, so Qualcomm and Samsung can work closer together. It all would come down to financial and commercial agreements and ensuring that Samsung have access to the top level of a Qualcomm technology ahead of everyone else. Like there would be those agreements that smashed out in boardrooms to make sure that happens 100%.
Because again,
the best partnership Pixel has is Liverpool Football Club. So I'm not saying anything bad. They sponsor the best team in the world. I think, as far as I'm concerned, they know what they're doing.
So there's some bias there. But just to go back on that, it's not so much Qualcomm prioritizing Samsung over Google. Isn't it Google not prioritizing Qualcomm, right? They're doing their own thing.
Not wanting to spend that money, yeah.
Yeah, they're wanting to save money because it's quite well known that, in terms of, what costs the most when putting together a phone, the chipset is the big spender for phone manufacturers. And so Google have obviously got some pull compared to other smaller manufacturers to go, well, we're going to do something more in-house, even though it's not really in-house because they're doing stuff with Samsung and now TMSC or whatever it is. But yeah, it's Google, right, deciding we don't want to go with Qualcomm.
I think it's when I watched the Samsung event. It's when I watched the Samsung event at the start of the year and how openly they were talking about Google. And I thought, well, Google's got their own hardware. I was struggling to understand where Google position. I mean, Google might surely just drop out of the race at this point, and because they're happy with their partnership with Samsung in particular. I don't know. I just don't
would imagine
why.
Those are. I think when we talk about Google, it's quite hard to sort of call it as a single entity, right? Because it's probably multiple businesses like Android and Gemini are probably not the same business inside Google, I would imagine. But I think Sam is right. I think Sam is saying they're kind of struck a chord with me because, yeah, Google will have to spend the money to get that better chip in there. But I remember recently rereading some of the Apple filings, when some emails came out about internal emails saying, good enough is what we need for right now. We don't want to be top of the range or whatever. And I wonder if Google are doing something similar to say, actually, for our customers, for the target market we're going for, we don't need a Snapdragon 8 Elite in there. And
That's
to be fair
interesting.
to them, they have been able to deliver amazing computational photography for one with their own chip.
Yeah, and I think that actually does align with the launch event that we saw, right? That they have, moved away from the tech heads, and they're going for the more general consumer. And so, yeah, I think that's potentially bang on.
And again, the other area that I've not been able to square off, and I put my hands up, as you know, Android isn't my big thing, but I've got a bit of flesh in the game. Google make Android, so they're kind of in control of. I know Samsung take it and then rework it to their own wishes and desires, but at the head of the game, Google make Android. So surely their devices should be the absolute pinnacle, should they not? Am I being too simple in that view? That should be the showcase of everything Android could do, right? And it's the most
I think that's it. Yeah, so Google
it should be the most native experience, shouldn't it?
Yeah, you'd have thought so, and it was at one point, many moons ago, back with the Nexus lineup.
Yeah.
But then Google decided that that was getting quite complex to, if you think about all the features that they've come out with in the years since, things like call screening and now playing it, all the things that we love about Pixel phones, like to sort of get. I think they were finding it frustrating, maybe with Samsung, but probably with lots of different other Android manufacturers, just that a lot of these sort of basic AOSP based features weren't getting sort of adopted, by the other Android manufacturers, or at least were taking so long to get adopted. So what they sort of split their thinking, which is like, we're going to make base Android AOSP, and that's going to be fairly basic. So even this big sort of Material Expressive 3 redesign that we've seen with the new Pixel phones on Android 16, that's not AOSP. That's Google's flavor that they're adding to to Android, because I guess they realize that, man, if we keep doing these huge upgrades to the sort of base version of Android, it's just not going to, it's going to take manufacturers so long to adopt it. So they sort of trimmed things back quite significantly to make it easier for those major Android versions to get pushed out. And that's why I think we've seen such an improvement in how quick manufacturers are now able to push out these major OS updates, because Samsung was infamous for this, taking sometimes 6 months, or even longer sometimes to catch up and get out the next major version of Android, because they're trying to adopt all these new changes, plus implement all their own features and things like that. So I think the fact that Google has pared things back makes it easier for other manufacturers. And then they've decided, well, that's obviously not how we want Android to be known, to be this really basic operating system. So that's why they've got their Pixel lineup and the Pixel experience, software skin, to therefore highlight it as well.
I suppose the weakness or strength, whichever way you want to look at it, for Daniel, we only use one device. But for you, Sam and Alex, you're using, well, Sam, you're obviously using Samsung and Pixels. Alex,
Everything.
got a
I've just finished reviewing the OnePlus and the Nothing before that, and
so
I'll be going on to the iPhone.
Yeah,
All that. So I experience all flavors of Android, and I actually think Nothing phones. Actually, if you want to see what AOSP is really like, use like a Sony or something in that regard. But Nothing, I actually think is fairly close to AOSP, like a basic version of Android, but they've just added some little design, tweaks and flares to it, to make it a little bit more their own. But it's essentially like a slightly different font, and just slight tweaks. But otherwise, feature wise, fundamentally, it's quite basic, Nothing OS. But I think that's what people like about it as well.
Where's your
I
heart
think
at the
the
moment,
other.
Alex?
I was going to say, it's just on. I'm on Fold at the moment, Fold 7. But yesterday I was pretty much using multiple devices depending on what time of the day it was. Because in the morning I was at a Samsung event, and then in the evening it was an Honor event. Yeah, it's crazy. But I was going to say, I think the other benefit of Android in general, I think, is the fact that sometimes if they see something good in, say, One UI, we see that kind of being fed back into Android as well. So I think they do take input from whatever Samsung and others do.
I think Samsung as well, to give my side of it, not my side, it's my perspective.
To defend them.
Because yeah, apparently I do that. I do it a lot. I'm a Samsung shill.
Objection.
What can I say? But I think Samsung, when they develop ahead of Google and Android, they're quite good at collaborating with the Android operating system to make it widespread. Like QuickShare is a perfect example of Samsung developing that and then jumping in with Android, and it's now the standard sharing platform on all Android devices. So I think you've got to give Samsung a lot of credit with their software development, because whilst Google might have been getting frustrated with developments of OEMs, Samsung are in a similar boat where they just develop. Like Samsung had night mode or dark mode on their phones in One UI before it was Android native. So there's both sides to it, where both platforms or both operating systems will innovate ahead of the other, but then they all end up on each other's devices anyway. Like, I think we're at such a point now where the only real differentiation between a device is how the quick panel is different on here and there. Outside of that, the feature set is very, very similar. Like, there's not a lot of differentiation.
Mate, you're undercutting Samsung there.
I am.
I'm gonna defend Samsung there now, because they, honestly, as someone who goes between all the different softwares, like and this is crazy, but like, it used to be, probably only 2 years ago, where I'd be like, man, I'm done with the Samsung. I've got to go back to Google or anything else. Now I'm like, get me back on Samsung, because One UI is now such a nice, like, looking version of Android. And that was the thing that it struggled with in the past. It was like, had all the features, but it was just a little bit
awful.
It just didn't look great, from a design standpoint. If you care about design, not everyone cares about that. That's fine. But, as someone who likes a clean aesthetic, but now they've got that sorted out and it looks fantastic. Plus, man, you got like no other OEM does customization like what you can do on One UI.
So that's probably my fault for not knowing that, because I only ever use Samsung. A point that my viewers all too well point out to me when I compared the Pixel to the
I cannot.
the other day.
When you messaged me, and said, "Oh, my next video is I'm comparing. I'm saying how the S25 Ultra is better than the Pixel 10."
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh boy, you are setting yourself up for some a lot of."
I got smashed in the comments of that, but was I wrong? Probably not. Probably a
no,
little
they were
bit.
all right, but
I was like, most of my points were correct, but it was, you need to have the Pixel first before you can say. I'm like, well, I know on paper 218 grams is lighter than 232. Like, that's a fact. You can't tell me that 232 grams is lighter. I don't need to hold the phone to know that. But anyway, we should probably talk about the phones a little bit.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also, I was going to pull the ripcord between Daniel and Alex on the Samsung Fold and the Honor, because just before you came on, I was talking to Daniel, saying we were there yesterday, and Daniel was straight on. Yeah, but they've lied about the thinness.
They straight up.
Yeah, they corrected themselves as well, but yeah, it was embarrassing, and I think I fell for it as well as a creator. They told me to say, and I was like, okay, if that's part of the fact sheet, right? You just repeat it, which is dangerous. But apparently, you have to buy a certain color and measure a certain way on a wet Wednesday or something to make sure that it is the thinnest. If those conditions are not met, then you're not. The Fold is definitely still thinnest. But we're talking 0.001, right? I think it's more to the point, when you hold both devices, I think to your point of, you don't need to hold the device. Sometimes you do, just because the difference might be not in the total weight, but in the ergonomics and the balance of
weight
the device.
distribution.
This camera module, let me just see if I can focus on this. I mean, it's huge, right? It's humongous.
Yeah, but it's center. It's in the center, right? So
it is in the center, but it is top heavy.
Yeah, but when you use it flat on a table, is it wobbling like a madman, like the 7 Fold does?
No, it's actually quite nice. You can
honestly,
I guess because it's so big.
On the
because it's taken up so much space.
No, it doesn't wobble at all.
That's See, I mean, come on, Samsung, sort that out.
Yeah,
the difference is when you are using one-handed, I feel less comfortable with the Honor than with the Fold, because it feels like it could tip over at some point, depending on what where you're typing on the screen. But I have to say, if I was to say, right, remove the software aspect of it, the Honor has the better hardware in so many areas. It's not just like, oh, maybe the telephoto is better, but I don't know, the entire material they used here feels better, feels more higher quality. The screen, I know it's a tiny thing, but you know the anti-flickering thing that they've got here on the Honor. You don't really. I mean, if someone told me that that's what it was, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I just know it is a nicer screen to look at for a longer period of time. If you put them side by side, you might not see a difference, but you do see it in, say, Lightroom, for example. If you're editing a photo and you're zooming into clouds or things that have a gradient, you will see a bit of a fade, so kind of a banding on the Samsung screen, but not on the Honor. So there's definitely, better hardware bits on the Honor device. But where things fall apart for me is the software. It's clunky. You have to, and you have to do that with everyone, right? Creating your own, like they call it Honor Suite account or whatever. You have to do that with everything to get the functionality. But it's just, there's so much stuff. It reminds me of early Samsung software because it's got software in here that you don't need to, it doesn't need to be here.
Have you got their tablet and laptop as well?
Yeah, I've tried the laptop. The laptop is being shipped back to them. The tablet, I haven't really used it that much, but yeah.
I was just wondering how well their whole ecosystem they were really leaning into yesterday. They were trying to push hard on that, weren't they?
It works really well, yeah. I mean, and Xiaomi too. They're both very similar in the way. And it's a shame that Samsung still hasn't got this one feature, which is the, see your screen, your mobile screen on a Mac. You can do that with Honor and Xiaomi. I think with Oppo too. Yeah, Oppo as well. That's the one thing that I think is missing in One UI is to be able to sort of get it kind of bypass the need for, WeTransfer or whatever it is now that we might use for like quick drop or whatever.
And Daniel, you obviously haven't had your hands on an Honor yet, I take it.
It's never going to happen here in Australia. They don't.
You haven't had the Honor yet.
I haven't had the Honor of it.
Boom.
And they don't launch globally. I think that's another element of the Honor that
distribution is issue.
It's a distribution issue. They just don't ship to enough places. So it's like the Pixel, I could go and get the Pixel Fold as much as I think that's probably the worst foldable that's been launched,
Whoa, shots fired.
The shots fired. It's not, I don't think they put enough effort into that Pixel Fold. That's just me. Like when you can see now where the other foldables are, like in terms of weight, in terms of size.
But just one sec, Daniel. Just consider though, and I get it that finally Samsung have sorted.
It took Samsung a while.
But that's what I'm saying. Think about how many iterative, release, like ridiculous.
7.
Like the change from Fold 1 to Fold 2 was astronomical. Like they put in, an unbelievable amount of effort to sort of, get that up to date, and then. Unfortunately, and then everything else, sort of went another step forward in the following year. But yeah, man, that's a harsh comment.
I think the Pixel Fold, the biggest thing they did this year was they slimmed the hinge down. Like the hinge area where they had that big thick bezel, that's trimmed in.
Yeah.
And then
IP68.
And IP68. That's probably the other big one that they did as well, which obviously in Australia makes a lot of sense because we get a lot of crazy weather here just for no reason. It'll just rain for a week and then it's perfect sunshine. So like that'll help. But the water resistance has kind of already been there. I'm rambling now. But I think the thing is if Samsung had released the Pixel 10 Pro Fold as a Samsung, hammered. The market would have just not accepted that.
But because
hardware.
they've released 7 prior folds.
Yes.
Google, this is their third.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think.
And in comparison to the rest of the market as well, like, what number Honor are we up to?
Is it the fifth one?
5. Yes. Yeah, 5.
So there you go.
I mean, it's the 4. They skip 4 because 4 means death in Chinese. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's their 4th version. But yeah, look,
the Oppo's on their 2nd as well, right? Like the Find Oppo was their 2nd or 3rd.
Is it?
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, this is where I would probably kind of say, well, I'm with Daniel a little bit on this because. Yeah, there are other manufacturers who are on their early devices and have been able. I mean, the Oppo is amazing. It's actually in some hardware features better than the Samsung as well, the Fold 7. So yeah, I think Pixel could have tried a bit better. but maybe they
Yeah, look,
don't
I'm
need
actually
to.
surprised they even released another Fold. For me, I thought maybe it would have been better to just sit back on
Sit
that.
back
Like
out, yeah.
that's the other thing. Like, oh man, it's kind of frustrating that a lot of phone manufacturers, and look, it makes sense, but like particularly in these niche markets like the Fold and other things like that. What do they need to do, or did Google need to do a yearly one? I don't know. I feel like they could have gotten away with sitting out on that and just sitting
That's
back,
so
seeing
true
what the market
for
was doing, and
everything,
then
yeah.
Leaning into what
and then-
their strengths were.
yeah, potentially
Even the
and just
tablet.
going, look, you know,
The Samsung tablets, right? This tablets. Honestly, they could have skipped S9, in my opinion. From
Yeah.
S8 to S10 is being
Yeah.
very minimum. Yeah.
They were doing that. They were doing 18-month tablet schedule, and then all of a sudden
which
last
was
year they
fine,
just
yeah.
threw out the Tab S10 Ultra, and now it's like back to a yearly release cycle for a tablet. I'm like, there's no need for that. And
Almost peer
releasing-
pressure, isn't it?
I think it is a bit of peer
Can we
pressure.
talk about something what that may or may not be coming out soon?
I don't think so.
Or is that not? Okay,
Yeah, I don't think so.
Just
Yeah.
checking.
Sorry, audience, for the
We'll
For
move
the
the teaser. Yeah.
That's-
We'll be
it's
straight
just
on
a
that
little-
one.
we'll
That
leave it
never
there.
happened.
We'll edit this out.
I mean, I know from what Daniel said, even if it is fractions, that Honor may have been not entirely truthful with their numbers. But yesterday, Alex, they were saying their sales are up 300% on the year, weren't they? And
Four times, so it was almost 400%. So they quadrupled in 2024.
So-
Foldable sales in Europe, I think it was, or
Europe,
globally.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
When you
And
talk
also-
about Honor, it is China and Europe, right?
yeah, because so many of the features, yes, they were China first, globally later, or other places
Yeah, they
later.
just don't sell in other places. Yeah.
And one thing that I think we thought was fairly impressive is when they said that they were giving that year free screen cover on both screens.
12-month guarantee on the screen. That was insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and they showed how durable it is as well. So you're probably not going to need it. But the fact that they are backing it, saying if you do smash it, for a year, you've got replacement. So that's a sort of support, and I think it will get there. I think that, once they get to more established in the UK and Europe, and a little bit of the US, then yeah, I mean, they have so much money as well. I'm not sure if they are backed by the Chinese government or whatever it is, but they are putting a lot of money in their partnerships, the
Well, the event
R&D.
yesterday.
So, yeah, I mean, it's
that event yesterday
Yeah.
cost a tidy penny as well. The location, it didn't want for anything.
We've
It
been
was-
to these local events before, right? And they're some of them can be quite big, like the Unpacked. But that one yesterday was almost like, it felt like this should have been for a bigger
Bigger brand,
a bigger
yeah.
device.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge.
So I suppose now we could just mention it's coming into Apple season as well. September 9th is
Yeah,
when everything gets
my
unveiled.
wallet.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy close.
I did have my dummy device, so I don't know if it's going to focus or not. Yeah. So that's the big change on the back, the triangular camera layout now. Which
So you
in
mean
theory,
Tim Cook is not sending you a real one?
my actual in-person invite, I've got to check my
No,
junk mail.
still not
Still,
right.
yeah, I
check
haven't
the
checked
spam.
junk yet for a couple of days.
You forgot
so
to give them
apparently-
your updated address or something.
That it could be that. I thought
Come on,
it
man.
was just spam. I saw
Yeah.
an email from Tim Cook.
All
Nah,
that.
clearly not for me.
Any
Not for me.
any of it.
I've been whoring myself out to Apple in the UK because they're only up the road from me in London, and their head office is there. And every press release has had an email address. And we said, please, just let me come to the event. Please, come on. Look at my website. You can see I'm pretty pro Apple.
Look outside. I'm waving out there.
Yeah. That's my palm print slipping off the window pane. So one of the latest rooms I heard was the reason they've gone for that change of layout is that the telephoto is actually going to be physically movable. So they've moved the layout so that the telephoto can go, I think, to 10x as a physically movable lens now, and that's why they've had to move the lidar, move the move the.
But
torch
can
over.
I clarify? And this has been a lot. And my assumption is that no, this isn't why they've done it. But obviously they've stretched the thing out, right? You said to move the lidar or whatever, but it's still the lenses still pop out in comparison, right? They haven't made it flush, have they?
No, I don't. I can't.
Man,
really
that's unbelievable to me. I mean, that's the whole beauty of the camera visor on Pixel phones is that it's
It's flat.
completely flat on a table and it just has no side to side movement. Which I know if you put your phone in a case, it's irrelevant. But I don't know, man. This frustrating. I can't believe it. They went with the visor and yet it's still not. It's not flush. That's crazy.
Oh, and I can be
I
telling you.
also, I
So
also
I was just
don't
going to say, for
think
reasons
that
of paying a rent, I will be putting my phone in a case on launch day.
Right.
I have a sponsored video lined up, so my phone will be going in a case. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
no, it's exactly the same as a 16 Pro Max. Dimension wise, nothing to it. It's exactly the same.
I would argue and probably agree. I don't think the motive for doing the visor is telephoto related. I think it's too much of a jump for Apple to go from a standard 5x telephoto to all of a sudden add in this movable telephoto. I don't know if they're going to do it.
Was
That's
the
a
rumor
big-
that it
that's
might
a-
be the
a
18
big
that
jump.
gets it?
I mean,
Maybe,
I just assumed it was for more space for spatial. They're obviously leaning heavily into their spatial video, and I just assumed that new layout was going to give them more space to get a better spatial video effect.
But what do you
It
mean?
doesn't
Like
affect me.
sorry, what's the lens difference? The lens layout difference. Is that different? Have you got a side by side there?
No, it's exactly the same.
That's what I'm saying. So
So all they've done is move the
apart from
LiDAR
moving,
over
they've moved the LiDAR, but
and the microphone. Yeah, it's almost like they've had an argument now. They're over there by themselves, and
I think it's just a design refresh. Is it not?
I would
just go for a
say
visor
that
look.
too.
Yeah.
I think so.
And that logo on the dummy device, is there a logo on it? Or
Yeah,
no?
it is. It is down the bottom there. Yeah. So it has moved now. So this hasn't got the glass panel on the back, but we're assuming that the glass panel is going to go.
What are they doing, man?
Down there, and the logo is
that's right.
down there. Yeah.
I'm interested.
There was
I'm
talk
interested
of a
in the
second.
air. I'm interested in the air and how everyone's going to all of a sudden think that thin phones are cool and light phones are cool because they weren't earlier this year. But
the big
they might
question
be
is,
now.
will they undercut Samsung in price? Because now they've seen this sort of polarizing reaction to how much Samsung, and Samsung just had to take a punt and go, here's what we think we should price this as.
Well, they've certainly undercut it with features like a single camera. That's not going to be a flagship camera. It's going to be like a 16E camera, from what I understand.
They make some odd decisions. I've got to say, they really do. Because again, you're
can
spending
get away
more
with it.
money to get less.
They can get away with it. They can get away with it. They're the only company really that can get away with this kind of sacrifice.
And I think the thing that scares me most about it is they've already got a battery pack ready to sell with it. They're expecting the battery to be so poor that an average user is not going to get through the day with it. And that just seems, I don't understand. They've come through, I've written a lot recently about they've come through their slump, and I think they took a real beating last year, and I think they're a better company for it. OS 26, what I've used of it, has been brilliant. I've used it for about a month now on the phone, and it's not just skin deep. It's roots. They've done a lot from the ground up in it that just makes the whole thing feel fresher, quicker, easier. You get more screen real estate. The liquid glass is kind of almost the least of it. That is just the aesthetic, which looks okay, but it's just what they've done. I think they've taken a beating. Okay, they've decided, it could be to deflect some energy and some attention. We've got behind on the AI game. We're going our own way with that now. We're doing what we want to do with it. But let's get that OS right. And I think it looks great. And in fact, it's unified across all platforms now. I've used it a little bit on my iMac, not a great deal, but I've used it a lot on the 16E, and it's a really nice operating system, the best operating system I can remember for a long, long time. So I think they have listened. But then they come out and do something.
That's true for the
like
iPad as well.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I was using it on the train yesterday. Yeah. And being able to
in fact, I
drag windows
thought,
around.
I haven't tried it. Yeah, I haven't gotten the iPhone now, but the iPad is impressive. How much of a change it is.
It is. Yeah. I mean, when I was looking at when they had the phones open yesterday, flat. Oh, I just want to mention price as well, because they're coming at £1,700, aren't they? On their V5. Is it £1,600 or £1,700? Which is a lot cheaper than Samsung.
Not mainstream. Not by I think Samsung do amazing deals though. So I don't know anyone, and I would never recommend anyone to pay full price at launch for Samsung stuff, because they almost give you like so many options to not just get one discount, but to bundle discounts as well. Yeah, I know someone who got a Fold 7 for less than $1,000 just by bundling discounts and trade-ins. I think he traded in a BlackBerry Tab of some sort, and Samsung gave him 200 quid for it.
Wow. That's awesome.
So yeah, they are very aggressive on deals. I'm not sure Honor has that same level of deals. They probably do some launch deals, but
so from what I understand about Apple events in the past, like you've pulled up the Apple event, is that
because everyone gets crazy.
Everyone gets crazy with rumors. It's almost like they clown like Taylor Swift fans do. I just got that reference in there because Taylor Swift announced her engagement on the same day and overshadowed it.
Nice.
But what I meant by that is everyone goes crazy. Like that Mark Gurman guy, he just throws everything out there. And then about a fifth of what he says actually gets launched and released. I feel like it's just everyone gets set up to be so excited for what's to come. And then they just deliver exactly as what you would expect, not a thing more.
I took a punt on this week's video. Sorry, I took a punt and said, look, I'm not going to talk about rumours because, to be honest, they bore me. I'd rather be like, if you're going to liken it to a kid on Christmas morning, I'd rather wait and see what we're going to get. And the rumoured people, all they do, every single rumour site I watch, all they do is watch Mark Gurman and then just record their own version of what he said on a Sunday and power on. And that's it. And why can't people see through it? That there's no rumours out there that you can't go and pick up for yourself on a Sunday afternoon. I don't know, Gurman's as near to the truth as we're going to get. Whatever his contacts are, it's about as near to it. So if you're into the Apple world and you want to know what's coming, he's going to give you as good a steer as, I don't know, this is the whole rumour thing. I know the other phone manufacturers don't get it so much with Apple. And of course, people spend days pulling apart the invite. What does that invite mean? What does ore dropping mean? I don't know. I'm sure the blue and the orange do mean we're getting a blue iPhone Air and an orange iPhone Pro. But apart from that, the ore dropping, I'm assuming, just means that it's the slim phone is jaw droppingly thin.
I do think
you'll drop it and break it.
I do think it's a generation thing.
Not with an ESR case on, you won't.
Ooh, there we go.
Well, he's got in early. He's got in early.
Conflict of interest. Thank you. I've got another sponsor. So,
sorry, Alex.
I like Pitaka better. No, I was going to say depending on the day of the week as well. But I think that it must be a generation thing. So we get excited about the Apple events because I think we are preconditioned to it. I mean, when I was at a purchasing power level that I could afford an iPhone, it was the days when Steve Jobs was out there and kind of, bringing out some really exciting stuff. So it kind of is ingrained. So the Apple event excites me because I always go back to those days, even though if you really go back to the last at least 5 years, they haven't really been that exciting.
So I wonder
if the younger generation, when they get to a top point where they're like in their 20s, 30s or whatever, if they will actually even care about the Apple event, because, we care because we seem, we kind of used to like it. But I think it will lose its power unless they come up with something incredible again. But I don't know. I think it lost its appeal to it a little bit.
I think all events, to some extent, have kind of run their course. I mean, they're all similar-ish. I'm not being too curmudgeonly there, am I?
No, I think
you kind of know they're going to.
Production-wise, you can still set Apple on top of all the others in terms of production-wise.
They'll get that Craig guy playing the guitar, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at this guy with his hair," and then they all clap.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I love the production that Apple put into it, but it's almost too anodyne now. The pre-record, I'd like to get back to a live event. It's very clever what they've done, and clearly you can see they're basically a movie company now as well.
I think the Fold 7 event this year was a good standard as well in terms of getting a little bit more down to earth and getting. I mean, they got a creator on stage, right, which was awesome.
But then they overcorrected by making it an hour and a half. Like that event needed to be 45 minutes. Like cut that thing down, man. Like that was too long. The Fold 7 event.
I think they all of them just like hearing their voices that little bit too much. And as much as I know it could be fairly accused that I am the Apple shill, so I'm just going to deviate very slightly here. I'll just talk about the movie side of it. F1, I didn't go to see it during the summer. I was sitting working here last Friday, and it came up on my phone. Now available on Apple TV. I'm like, yes, that's Friday night sorted. So I rent a lot of movies. I've really got into watching, sort of movies from the 90s and everything. So anyway, go back with my $3.95 ready. Oh no, $16.99 to rent or $20 to buy.
Yeah, because it's still out at the theaters.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they do, right? They have this sort of co-release.
Yeah.
Well, and what do you think? Did you like it?
I mean, am I allowed to say that Brad Pitt looked absolutely fucking gorgeous?
You are.
You can say, mate, whatever you want.
I mean, you've already said it, so I guess you are allowed.
It was a Brad Pitt. It was a Brad Pitt vehicle, wasn't it? It was Rocky in a racing car. I mean, you had the training scene. Yeah, it was a good movie though. Yeah, it was a good movie.
And if you enjoyed the director's previous one, Top Gun Maverick, if you liked that and the sort of intensity of that, I think you're going to like F1. I loved it. I thought it was a great film. Just a lot of
it
fun.
was kind of surreal when you're watching it, and suddenly you see Toto Wolff pop up or Christian Horner. Well, God rest his soul, Christian Horner. And, then you suddenly see Charles Leclerc there or something. So I'm kind of almost glad I bought it because I can just go back and dip in and watch the odd sort of, 20 minutes of it one night when I'm bored or whatever. And and the other one they've done that with was Denzel's new movie, Highest to Lowest, a Spike Lee joint. They released that in a handful of theatres for a weekend and it's streaming next Friday. So they are a movie company now, basically, let's face it.
Yeah, could we appreciate the fact that they own a streaming platform? Apple, a smartphone computer manufacturer, own a streaming platform like that, and a music streaming platform. They aren't as much as we talk about their phones and iOS and Mac OS. They have so many fingers in different pies that you can't really just judge them on one aspect anymore. Like when people judge them on their phones being boring, they're doing way too much else for that to be the only thing that they care about. And if, Daniel Scuteri, Tech with Benefits, is saying, the S25 Ultra is so much better, they're just going to look at hold on, let's just look at my invoices. Oh, look at that. Apple TV made more than Samsung's S25 Ultra.
Well, their services.
Let's not worry about that, shall we? Yeah.
Their services side of their business is going through the roof because it's safe, returnable, and everyone forgets to count their subscriptions, and it's a safe monthly revenue. And they're offering more and more and more.
As long as Messi's in the MLS, I will be an Apple TV customer. That's the only.
There we go.
Only Tim Cook money. Only money.
You heard it here first, folks, guys. He says he's Samsung only. No, he's Apple too.
And the MacBook.
Yeah,
the only money that Tim's going to get. Suddenly,
D-Brand sent me out. D-Brand reached out to me and they sent me out a skin for the MacBook Pro, so I've covered it up and I don't see the Apple logo anymore.
And just before we get on to YouTube, Alex, just before you join us, we're having a little chat about AirPods. I'm convinced that there's something cooking with AirPods. They're putting too many features and too much attention into what they're thinking doing with AirPods. I think there's something coming down the line, and I think it's all to do with Apple glasses. I wrote about it this week. I think it's the top story on my website. Unlike The Verge, I don't ask you to pay. You can look at my website for free. But I just think there's something going on that they're apparently we're going to be getting temperature testing coming out, in-ear temperature testing coming out this release. And then I think, heart rate monitoring this release. Temperature testing is what they're looking for. But also, there's more and more help. They're looking for blood monitoring, non-invasive blood monitoring. And then apparently they're working on infrared cameras as well. Now, if the infrared cameras happens, that's got to be Apple glasses. Surely, cameras in your AirPods. I think AirPods are going to suddenly just become central to everything Apple does. There's something they're putting too much effort into it, I think.
It's interesting with the heart rate monitoring. I have to jump in. The Samsung, when they launched the Gear Icon X back in 2016, right? These things had 4 gigabytes of internal storage and in-ear heart rate monitoring, and they flopped. Like they were the worst earbuds because they just tried to cram too much in to one thing that's set on your ear. And the next generation dropped the heart rate monitoring and the storage and just became buds. So it'd be interesting to see how Apple can make a device that small work as earbuds primarily, whilst also adding in all this extra stuff. I think they just sell you a different accessory. Like, I don't think they sell it all in one. I think they make a different product.
Yeah, I would imagine the glasses would be its own thing, and I would find it difficult to believe that they would do glasses that works with the pods. Maybe in a content watching scenario, but if you look at the glasses that are coming out now, these Ray-Ban type,
they all have speakers.
They're the kind of bone conductor thing, and they're not amazing. They're not going to be like your hi-fi, kind of quality. But for what they're doing, this is a Rokid one. I think it's the new one. But yeah, you don't need another bit something in your ear for the glasses. So I find it hard to believe that they would do that, to be honest. I would love if they did a pair of glasses that are like the Ray-Bans, like the Meta stuff that they're coming out.
Well, again, I think that's why we've got liquid glass. I think this whole translucent OS they're developing is going somewhere, and it kind of started with Vision
Pro. It makes
Pro.
sense, yeah.
So I think Endgame. So the other thing, so should we go onto YouTube? It was just the only other big story coming on the Pro and Pro Max, apparently. I don't know how they're going to get around this. They're getting rid of titanium, having said it was the best thing ever 2 years ago, and we're going to aluminium. All the colours are called something titanium. I don't know. It's just odd that it was the best thing 2 years ago. Their marketing team generally gets around it, but I'll be interested to see.
They'll definitely get around it. We'll definitely hear a huge spin on how aluminium is now the best thing since
heat sink and
sliced bread.
and
Well, they've reinvented aluminium.
I don't know.
That's what's going to happen. They've reinvented
But was the titanium, was that recycled or anything? Like, I'm sure that they'll go down that line with the aluminium.
Oh,
right?
that fits into ecological.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon
It
it'll
has
fall
nothing
in
to
that
do
path.
with the fact that titanium is a lot more expensive as
That's
well.
right. I mean, that's what they've looked at the numbers and gone, no one cares about this titanium. Let's just let's save a bit of money here, folks.
The aluminium in the Pro Max is all iPhone 3GSs from 15 years ago that we've recycled into the frame. That's ready.
Mother Nature.
So let's begin talking scams, shall we? And I think we'll start with this one.
We
if I can
are,
put it
aren't
up.
we? I thought we were talking about
We've been
Apple.
scamming it.
Whoa. Man, there's been so many shots
deep.
fired. So many
I know,
shots.
you still have to, Sam, still have to take every 2 weeks.
No, but sorry,
They just line
David,
up.
you were throwing some shots before at I can't even remember who it was, but someone, and I was like, man, everyone's going. It's only Alex and I who are just sitting on the side here. Now Alex getting involved too.
I do it in a very gentlemanly manner. I do it with great erudition and a calm method that no one knows I'm slinging arrows at them. So we are throwing a lot of screenshots up on this podcast, so apologies if you're on the audio version, but it's worth checking out on YouTube. So Daniel, you sent this to Alex and I the other day. So
naturally, as YouTubers, you get lots of scam emails coming your way. People trying to, scam you with access to your account. They send you links and PDFs. And the main one I've been getting a lot of, it's always from like a libero.it, which is like some Italian, almost like a .yahoo email client service people sign up for. And it's always, I'm from Canva, I'm from Spotify, and I'm from this big, massive company that, you're not from. You're lying and making up. And obviously they don't work. They've started to think that they don't work. So now what I'm starting to see, and I've got like 3 or 4 this week in that similar vein that was just up on the screen. Can you put it up again, David? I'll just read it out for our audio listeners. The way it sort of works now is that they email you and it says like, I'm sure it's a mistake. And then it says, greetings. I lately came across your content that includes material that seems very familiar, if not identical to something I published before. I know these things can happen unintentionally, so I wanted to contact you directly first to discuss the matter. I'd be really grateful for a response so we can handle it professionally. Appreciate your attention. Best regards. No name. Like, who am I meant to submit this to? So I've had 3 or 4 of these in a similar vein where they're trying to say, hey, you've stolen my content. And it's obviously a lie. I make all my own content myself, so there's absolutely zero chance. But I think the pattern that's starting to develop is people are starting to now trying to catch content creators out with fear. Because I've also been getting private videos being shared with me on YouTube, and the title of the video is Copyright Strike. And again, you obviously are trying to go and click on that link, and then I haven't clicked on it. I'm not even remotely curious as to where that, because it's an official YouTube link too. That's the other thing. The YouTube channel that sent me a private video. But the thing is, I don't know if this is revealing too much, but my YouTube channel and my media email are different. So they're sending that to my media email, assuming that it's the same email address, but it's not. So they are trying to catch me out, and I'm not falling for that. But it's just a handy thing to know if you're a creator and you're getting some of these emails that they are just completely infactual and off the rails, and you should just avoid them. That's
the other telltale is weird domain like .pl, .cz. A lot of the Eastern European .sk.
Yeah,
that's almost the first thing I look at now. I'll go look at the domains. Almost, if something looks like it's going to be too good to be true, well, let's just go and check that. But the YouTube one that you sent a link to, so it's on Telegram. Again, that look.
I've seen those before as well. Yeah,
but Sam,
I get about 5 of those private video ones a day from YouTube, and it's crazy. But I don't even know. I mean, I don't know what the scam is, because you can't. They're private videos, so you can't actually open them on YouTube. You have to watch the embedded video, but then you can't click the link in the description because it's embedded. So I actually don't know. Maybe they think it's going to work or whatever.
What the catch is if they're but
but
maybe
that's
it's just if they click on this, maybe they're susceptible to the follow-up, you
Maybe.
know.
Yeah,
Or
true.
sucker
Yeah,
punch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was
Yeah,
that Sony one that you were talking to us about, Sam. That sounded so elaborate. Do you want to just
Yeah,
tell people
I'll
about
give
it?
a quick rundown for the listeners because a couple of weeks ago I got one from supposedly Sony Australia, and it was it was honestly the best put together scam that I've ever seen, and I've seen some good ones in my time. But essentially, it was a very enticing pitch saying, "Hey, look, you know, we love your content, all that good stuff, but seems quite personal compared to others." And then they said, "Look, essentially, we've got this YouTube video. It's on our official channel that explains everything. Click on it, and it's on a channel called I want to say something like Sony Productions. It's got 200,000 subscribers." The video is unlisted and it's got about 30,000 views and comments are disabled, right? So a little bit of a red flag there. But anyhow, what they've done is they've put together this really high quality video. And oh man, like for the first half of it, watching it, and just as they were saying, "Hey, you know, we're excited to work with you," I was like, "This is awesome! I can't wait to work with Sony." And then, but as they started to explain the process, it was like, "Oh man, red flag after red flag," which is essentially, "Hey, we've got a link in the description for you to go and download sort of a list of products," was what they described it as. But red flag, huge red flag one was, but it can only work on Windows computers. So I mean, what's going on there?
Yeah,
And then B,
yeah.
yeah. And then they're like, and then you got to extract the file and enter the password that we've got in the description for you or whatever. So I mean, immediately my head goes to not only the infamous story of Linus Tech Tips from a couple of years ago, how their channel got scammed and hacked, but actually I nearly had a similar situation happen to my channel about 5 years ago where I got sent a file from. It was like I was working with the brand and they were going back and forth, and essentially, if a brand doesn't ever like come back with you with negotiations, if they just go, "Yep, happy with that price," and they're sort of, you know, there's something dodgy with the email, you got to ask some questions. Usually, brands will go, "Oh, you know, is there any room for negotiation?" But these guys are like, "Yeah, no worries, we'll pay that rate. We'll even pay you a little bit more or whatever as a bonus." And anyway, so you get excited when you're a young creator looking at, you know, you're trying to do this thing full time. Downloaded the file, and it was a .scr file, which is like on Windows, it's like a screensaver file, which is in general not malicious, and it's not one of those typical ones like an executable file. So it's not one that runs code necessarily, or at least it doesn't appear to. But anyway, I extracted it and opened it, and then nothing happened, and then I started panicking, thinking, "Hang on a sec, this seems fishy." Sort of thing started. Anyway, you know, my heart dropped, right? And then I got in touch with this other creator who I knew that 6 months prior to then, his channel had actually got hacked, and he had about 50,000 subscribers at the time. And you know, after about a month of them uploading like crypto scams and things or whatever to his channel, he finally got the access back. But man, his channel was done and dusted. The damage had been done with a channel of that size. You know, people just go, "Oh, this channel's been hacked," and they just stopped engaging with his content. YouTube stopped putting it out into the algorithm. So it was done and dusted. And so I panicked. I said, "Man, this is what's happened." And he essentially said, "Look, you know, yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. You got to wipe your computer," which I did. And so thankfully nothing ever came about. But that's what happened with Linus Tech Tips channel a couple of years ago, is that what they do is when you run that file or you open it and extract it, it actually grabs your cookies that you've got, your active cookie session, and sends it to their computer, which means anything you're currently logged into in your browser, they are immediately logged into. So your YouTube studio, you know, Gmail, all that stuff, which means they're already logged in. They don't have to re-log in or whatever. So as soon as they get access, they can then change the passwords. They can like disable two-factor authentication so that they don't have to whatever. And yeah, it's man, nightmare if that happens. And
It's scary.
Linus Tech Tips, they were fortunate in that they're a fairly sizable channel. They were able to sort of get in touch via Twitter to YouTube support and get their channel back within a couple of days. And again, they're, you know, the 15 million plus size channel. So luckily the damage wasn't permanent, but yeah. Essentially that's what the Sony one was trying to get creators to do, is to extract that and give them access to your channel.
And if you think you're safe, like with two-factor authentication, I think he the example he gave was also that they spoofed the SMS provider as well, which in some countries that still happens. So SMS is okay. It's probably better than nothing, but don't rely on that. Have another, like a proper, like a authenticator app to.
Well, no, but the thing about this
really
this cookie session thing is that they don't even need to.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Which is just like, that's the
great.
Scariest thing. So yeah. And then also essentially what happened was I was like, man, how did they get such a good looking video? Like, it's not AI. I thought for a second it was AI because I was like, there's no way someone would sign up to this to be
maybe
the
it's a
presenter
genuine
of this.
video.
Yeah. But then I found the presenter's profile on Fiverr, and he offers it as a service. Right. And obviously someone's got in touch with him from a fake Sony email saying, hey, we want you to be our face.
So he was duped as well.
Right.
Yeah.
He would have been duped. And I got in touch with him. I said, mate, do you know that they're doing this? And he's like, no, that sucks. Hopefully he didn't get done by it. I don't know what he can do, if he can report it or whatever. But yeah, crazy.
Wonder how much he made.
Insane.
Do you happen to have his information? Maybe I'd like to know, just not for personal profit.
I can send you his profile. And there's a Reddit thread about it as well if you're interested, with a bit of back and forth. Some creators did say, look, I opened the file. Am I screwed here? And I essentially replied to a couple of them and said, look, and we're hypothesizing about this prior to coming on today, that maybe these sort of scammers, now their new tactic is that even if you do extract the file and run it, maybe they'll just let it sit in the background for a week or so in the hopes that you think, oh, I'm fine. Then they pounce and they go, right, we got it. Because I know that a few of these people who had posted on Reddit said, I opened the file, it's been a couple of days, nothing's happened. And I'm like, ooh, I mean, you don't have to. Like,
they're collecting information.
Yeah. Could you do but if it was me, I'll be wiping my computer just to be safe, because you never know how long they'll let that sit dormant.
At the end of the session, Sam, could you send us that Reddit link?
Definitely.
I'll put it in the notes, because it could be an interesting read for some people. And again, it's often, because this is before Alex and I was still in a pod by ourselves. And Alex, I know, remember it. I thought I'd been approached by a sponsor and I got sucked. I got taken in by it. It was a water company. And I was saying, I've got my first sponsor. And I think the only thing that saved me, I was Mac, not PC. I'm guessing, because I downloaded this thing. I thought they want me to represent a named water company. And of course, I was wet behind the ears. I thought, I'm going to get some money. I'm going to start earning it. It's a nice brand, And I got, so you think you're smart. And okay, it only takes one moment like that to make your damn site smarter. But and at the end of the day, a load of emails, that one sounds so good. It's the kind of one you'd almost think, it all pans out.
As soon as you said it, I was like, you didn't click on the attachment, right?
And my face, we had about 20 minutes left recording. Alex said,
especially when you said the brand, I was like, the brand, I said, I definitely got that scam. Was that Fiji or something?
And Alex said, I think you've been scammed. And I was sitting here trying to record that podcast, trying to look calm.
You were freaking out.
Inside, underneath, I was like, oh. As soon as I got off, so that was a whole. So if any of you are sort of in the YouTube business, be careful.
You just get water from the tap, right? You don't have to get sponsored by it.
No, and that's the other.
Please, don't I look like a bottled branded water kind of a guy?
You do.
Do you think there's skin like this just from drinking tap? No.
We saw your bodybuilding photos, so we know.
Post those in the notes. No, they're in the notes. And I will say, just another flag: the bigger the company, the more cautious you got to be, because like smaller brand. I mean, if they're going to go for a scam, they're not going to go with some niche, unknown. But like, I'm talking, big name brands like, Google, Sony, Insta360 even these days.
Because
I feel like there's a few of those. Obvious. Yeah. So you got to be careful. And just be
even
the
genuine
alert.
ones
it's not
seem
worth it.
scammy.
Even the ones.
Even the genuine ones from some of those companies sound scammy.
I know. That's the thing. You begin even now. You're so skeptical, looking at anybody, thinking, okay, when am I going to get taken here? You go through so many hoops before you begin to get into dialogue, don't you? If you want to talk about supporting creators, Daniel came up with a brilliant thing that I'm loving my new toys here. I'm loving this. Hyping videos.
Yeah. Has Alex, have you seen this? Sam, I know we've spoken about it before.
A couple of weeks ago, this came out. Yeah, I did. I had a rant at it recently with someone else. Basically, it's something else we've got to remember to do and ask people to like, subscribe, and hype.
I'm not about it.
And it's only within the first 7 days. That's the other thing. It's once the 7 days is done, the hype button will disappear from that video. So
and people have a quota, right? You can only hype certain channels per day or per week. I don't know. It's weird.
And is
thing
it for
to be- I
small?
mean,
Is it for smaller creators or what's? I haven't quite
I've seen
figured
the
out yet.
BBC getting hyped. I've seen
David-
I've seen
Yeah.
Can you check on eligibility for channels and individual videos there? Okay, so
it's not small.
channels.
That's why you can't see it on my
500
channel.
There you go. That's why we can't see it on your channel. 500
Flex.
to 500,000 are eligible for this feature.
There we
Okay,
go.
so that makes sense.
They're trying to
So
support
effectively-
smaller.
Yeah.
For the audio listeners, effectively what this hype feature is that within the first 7 days of a video, if you're watching someone's video, there's a hype button that appears, and you can click
Which helps
hype.
with discoverability, right?
Apparently,
Yeah.
it's like, it's letting other people know that this video is to be watched, and you can assign it a certain amount
What's
of
wrong
points.
with the like button?
That's the
don't
thing,
know.
like, right? Remember, like, tags used to be so important, like 8 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And then they basically admit now, like, oh, guys, by the way, tags don't matter at all. It's like the same thing.
Yeah, we're
like,
not doing
it sounds like likes going out of fashion, because they remove the dislike, and they're like, oh, maybe we should move away from this language. Oh man, yeah, come on, just do it on the like button.
It's weird. Hype is like,
I know.
what's the context for it being hyped? Like, you can't even assign context to it when you hit the hype button. Like, it's just going to fall into a pool of other videos that have no context or no
It's a little-
relevancy
yeah.
with each other. It's just a weird. I get.
At a
look,
small scale as well. Can people buy hypes? Like, if you run out of
Oh.
hypes to give, can
Well,
you
that's
buy
that's
more?
what they said.
So maybe
right?
it's another.
That was alluded to in that that little article you had up there, David, where it said you can do a certain amount for free. So that would indicate
right. Yeah. So you
maybe
can buy
there's an
more
option.
hypes to give out. Right.
which is
as in,
crazy.
you as a creator
so
can
creators.
Creators.
Yeah.
it's all. I don't understand. The thing that I don't like about when features like this come out is, as a creator, we don't ever really get like sent information that this is
No.
happening. It just
No.
appears. Like, I get you as a creator, and maybe you should take responsibility and follow the YouTube partner program, or follow what's the guy that we don't
Renee.
talk about and don't let-
Renee.
yeah, when he was telling everyone not to make reviews talking about phones.
Yeah, that's right. That was
yeah.
good times.
Tech-
good times.
great times.
Text ed.
Don't,
Yeah.
yeah, text ed. Don't make tech videos, but here's a tech video. But like, you could follow those type of gurus and stuff, and they'll feed you the information. But I feel like you don't really ever get it sort of
No.
given to you from a
It's not
platform
useful.
point of view, as like how to use it. It's just, here it is. Oh, you don't know about it? Oh, it's hype. Yeah, your video's hyped up. And then you don't even, like, I just saw it randomly in the YouTube Studio app. Is this how many hypes this video's got? I'm like, what is this? And then I went and looked into it. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I can hype videos. I think
Yeah,
I
it
sent
got
you
shared a couple of weeks ago in another chat. And I was very quick to go. Obviously, it's a win-win for YouTube, right? Because YouTube is getting more time, because we're going to spend at least 10, 15 seconds telling our viewers, by the way, you've got this feature now. Can you hype this video? So and if you don't jump on that bandwagon, you don't get the hypes, and your video risks getting even less
But I think the hard
discoverability.
part
So
for me with the hype is it's 7 days only.
Yeah.
So if you mention it in your video, that's going to potentially
it's gonna be
live
relevant for a
forever.
week.
it's there forever. No
Right.
one can do anything about it. Yeah.
And no, everyone will be like, oh, I can't hype the video. What's this loser talking
Yeah,
about?
no, yeah.
You know, like, it just feels like you can either mention it and people will, or you just ignore it.
Or
And
maybe
be like,
you're
you know
just
what?
a
dating
lower
your video,
third.
You'll be dating your video.
Yeah,
100%
yeah.
you'll be dating it,
which
especially
I
with
don't think you want to do.
evergreen content like long-term reviews or comparisons or how-to videos.
Mm.
That stuff lives forever.
Well,
and
and
if you're
particularly
constantly saying, please hype this video, it's like, well,
Yeah. Which is
and,
why
and
it's
how
even more.
that
because
works these days. Remember, I think we discussed this last time I was on. Is that YouTube have evolved things a little bit in a good way. I think where it used to be that if a video didn't do well straight at launch, then that was it. But now it's like videos can actually find life, a month or two after publication. But yeah, so like therefore you should be shaping your videos. In
For
the
a longer
hope that
shelf
they
life.
find life afterwards. Yeah, a bit of a shelf life. So if you're going at the start, oh guys, and before we press on, make sure you hype the video, and people are like, what is this guy? I mean, this is 2 months old,
Yeah.
this video. What is this guy talking about?
It's funny you say that. I even thought twice this week before mentioning WWDC, because I thought that's going to be relevant for kind of 2 or 3 weeks. It was only a brief mention, but it's exactly what you said kind of went through my mind. I didn't want to think, well, that's now old news. The review that I've done for that phone will stand if someone wants to buy that 16 Pro Max a year down the line.
Yeah.
That video still stands. I didn't want to date it. So it's interesting that you should highlight that point. Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
a relevant point. I guess we'll have to think about, isn't it?
And on another note, it's interesting. I'll be interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this. That I had a sponsor recently who said, "Hey, we want to mention this deal that's only live for the first 7 days after the video goes live." And I actually pushed back really hard and said, "You're actually dating the video, and I actually think that is." You're almost losing some sales there, because I said, look, the algorithm's changed. Videos actually start to find a bit more success, a month or two after it goes live. And I think that people who are potentially watching the video, after that deal's over, they might hear the fact that there was a deal and go, oh, well, I'm not going to buy it now. I'll just wait till the next one, or I'm just not going to buy it at all because I missed out on the deal. So I said, I'd really prefer, let me just put it in the description, but please don't, make me say it in the video because it's going to date it.
Yeah,
I think even on
100%
the
agree with
Black
that.
Friday, and there's a couple of videos a year, like Prime Day and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, where even those I'm reluctant to say the exact deal, because I say, look, the details will be in the description, but I always say they're always coming up with new deals, so definitely check them out anyway.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
otherwise
actually,
you're like,
that's a good compromise, I reckon, is saying, look, there is a current deal, but there's also another, they've got other deals coming up.
There'll always
I
be a
guess
deal.
Yeah, that
so
is
you
actually
haven't
a
missed.
good
You might
compromise.
not have missed out, because they're constantly doing deals. Yeah,
That's
even
good.
on the
No, I
Samsung
like
ones,
that.
I always say something like that.
Yeah, nice.
And I think we're more or less at an end now, but just to end up with this, I've still got it open. I know we talked about it briefly. Here we go. I just want to know how many of these $27,000 panels Daniel's got kicking around in his house. The Samsung 115-inch mini LED that cost $27,000.
So I don't have that.
You haven't
at
had one
all.
on test? No?
No,
They don't give them to you to take home, right? You go to places to review.
Well, I think I went to a TV event and they didn't have that one there. But I'm starting to get in on the
IFA, I heard. Yeah.
Oh, really? I'm starting to
In
get in on the
Berlin,
monitor
yeah.
side of things with Samsung. So I've got a monitor here that I'm reviewing, and then I'm getting a permanent one sent to me in the next couple of weeks as well. Which is nice. It's nice to be expanded into other sort of things. And displays are a big one. Like obviously Samsung displays, huge. Like you mentioned before about Google having segments of their business like Android and Google and Gemini. Like Samsung displays sell panels to Apple. Like they're a different company altogether. So their TV side of things is different from their phones in a completely different way.
And also I've noticed
Their OLED monitors are amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The M9 one that I had that I'm getting as well is OLED and it's phenomenal.
And I've noticed just how much more Samsung are getting into home now. I mean, sort of washing machines and fridges are quite common to see talked about, and Verge often they've got somebody that's very much into smart homes. I know Samsung are right up there with sort of being brand leaders really in a lot of those household appliances, aren't they?
Yeah, the number one TV brand globally. I think their fridges are quite competitive in terms of the market. The washing machine, I got a smart washing machine that's like got AI in the drum, where like it will sense if your clothes are dirty and it will add an extra cycle, or if it's clean, it'll subtract a cycle and finish earlier, and then it sends you a notification to let you know either way, which I thought's quite cool.
Yeah, didn't you go viral?
I did
on Twitter. Yeah,
I said you wish your iPhone could do this or something, and they're just like, it's like, what are you talking about? It's a washing machine. I'm like, why would I want that? Why would I want my washing machine to do that? I'm like,
you love a rage baity tweet, Daniel.
I love a rage bait one that has a bit of fact behind it. I hate rage bait that's just rage bait. That's just wrong. Like you don't mind a bit of a rage, not a rage bait, but you don't
not
mind
as much
making
as you, man. You are all over that. I'll do like one a year. You're like one a week.
Yeah, they do work, but I can't.
What claim did you
it's
make?
The only thing that works on
you
Twitter.
said hot take that people started like just
about silicon carbon batteries.
Silicon carbon batteries.
Yeah, I've just the two ones. Look, and some people tweeted back to me on that. I did a tweet that said my hot take is that well, essentially, jury's still out for me whether they're. I actually don't think they're better than lithium ion yet, because probably phone manufacturers haven't yet learned how to optimize the chips and the software and everything. Whereas we've had
a couple of years until we find out how.
That's right. Well, and that's the other thing. We don't know how they're going to age either, which is another point. But in terms of like brands are going, hey, look, we've got this new thing, 6,000 milliamp hour cell. and yet it's actually not lasting as long as phones with 5,000 lithium-ion cells inside, because we've had all the the growing pains of learning how to optimize with lithium-ion and whatnot. It's like when Google switched over to the larger megapixel cameras, and like they'd done all their magic with the smaller megapixel cameras, and that's where they really shone. And then they switched to the larger ones, but they sort of kept the same processing that they did for the smaller. And so it was like, wow, man, this is too much. This is so HDR-y and whatnot. So yeah, my hot take is that silicon carbon, don't buy into it yet in the sense that like you go, I mean, so many reviews of phones this year have just been like, man, it's like, it's a tank of a battery because it's on paper it says 6,000 milliamp hours, right? But when you actually use the phones every single day for a month, and or even a couple of weeks or a week, and it's your one and only phone, you'll go, this battery life isn't actually as good as, or it might be as good as a lithium ion cell with a much smaller capacity.
The only, I haven't tested every single device that has silicon carbon based battery, but the one device that can back it up so far that I've seen is the Honor.
This is what I've heard.
I've tried the Honor. Yeah, it actually backs it up on the foldable, and I need to do some fact checking here, but I think the tech they used on that phone is different to the one they used on their flagship V7 earlier this year.
Okay.
So I think there's definitely different levels of silicon carbon. It's not
and so like, but that's the thing, like and that's fine, but like I guess maybe we need to start de-emphasizing the milliamp hour count and start prioritizing reported screen on time. I don't know. Like it gets very murky, but I'm just saying
it's
to the
so
general
subjective,
consumer,
right? How to measure?
Yeah, well, that's But maybe there needs to be. Is there a DxO equivalent? They did or DisplayMate, whatever it is. Like that they've got all the things, and I don't pay attention to it anymore either because
kind of the best
the phone buff
that I can find is a guy
test?
called. Actually, Ben does a good job as well because he does some
Lover
realistic
Tech.
things.
He's a boss, man. I
the
can't
closest you
believe how much
can
time he
get
puts into
to. No, I saw him last night. I was like, mate, you've got some sort of screw loose in your brain to be able to do that.
I don't know how he does it. He's doing several a week, right?
Yeah, he's insane. I've done it once, and I promised myself never to do that again. It was
I liked your
because
thumbnail that you did for that one. Actually, you taped the phones to your hands, almost like beer killies from How I Met Your Mother.
I put some sticks in my eyes as well.
Yeah, that was.
I put some sticks because like it is a boring job to do. It's like holy shit.
Yeah, awful.
On the rage bait sort of topic, it's what's everyone's strategy? Sorry, David, I know you said we're finished, but I had another thought. We talk a lot about YouTube, but obviously we have to be active on other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does everyone have? What's your strategy? Because I really don't have any. I just think about something and then I post it. And then I go, well, that took off more than I expected it to. And then I go, I'll see if it works on Threads. And then it doesn't. And then I'm like, well, I'll just watch everyone else for a couple of weeks and reply with some angry comments. I don't know. I got no strategy.
It out yet, to be honest. Yeah, I have. Well, I thought I had one. And I definitely did something wrong at the beginning when I was starting the channel, thinking that my audience on YouTube was the same on Twitter. And then they're absolutely not. I mean, there's some people on Twitter, some followers on Twitter will follow you everywhere, but that's like less than 1%, I'd say, in my case. So I think, you have to address the audience differently depending on the platform.
Yeah.
Similarly with Instagram, then not necessarily the same people. So I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. I don't think I have a strategy. I'd love to get my Instagram to grow more so I can get more like bundle deals. So I can say like to a brand, when you work with me, you get YouTube, but you also have an Instagram reel. So you can offer more packages.
Yeah.
But, I can't say I have a clear strategy on that, to be honest.
Mine's changed.
You go, David, and then I'll go.
Well, I can't remember the last time I was on X. I got really hacked off with the feed that I was getting. So I'm enjoying Threads. And I see, Sam, I see you a lot on there. So I'm quite enjoying the way that the algo's figured out my feed on Threads. But outside of YouTube, I'm really leaning heavily into photography at the moment. And Alex, I showed you a couple of pictures yesterday, and it's weird because my background was in print game. I only bore you very briefly, so I don't generally get excited about print. But tonight,
The ones you downloaded from stock, yeah.
That's the one, yeah, from Adobe stock. Yeah. So I'm always brilliant at working out ideas of how not to make money, and this is my latest venture of how not to make money. I'm going to try having some prints. I'm picking up my first ever prints tonight of my photography, and I'm really juiced about it. And there was a lovely country club near me that I went to for a drink, and I came out, and there's this Ferrari outside. So I just took these pictures, and I showed the food and bev manager later, because I happened to know him, and he said, where were you? I said, that's outside your front door. You're like, you should be selling these to your high-rolling guests. When they check out, here's your car, you know. So anyway, I use social media very much for my photography now. So Instagram, but again, every day I'm trying to edit, and an edit can take 45, 50 minutes before I post it. So, you know, when you're doing videos, scripting videos, editing, and I write, as you know, every week I write from, because that's actually really solid regular income for me right on Medium. So then there's comments to reply to on Medium, comments to reply to on YouTube. And the Instagram, the only thing, I'm tiny, but I've noticed that I've gone from virtually 0 to 500 in a month because I'm posting every single day. And it's purely photography, nothing else, you know. And if people like the kind of urban photography I do, great. So no, the only strategy I've got is just doing something every day, kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
And most of that gets fed through to the website as well, which means that look, yesterday my website had 1,500 clicks yesterday for that AirPod story. Really odd. Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, there's no strategy. I think it's just, we've all said it before, constant. Just, you've got to keep feeding the beast everywhere.
Yeah. It's tricky.
And
like similar to what you said, Alex, I remember when I first sort of started, you know, doing things seriously on YouTube 10 years ago, I guess, I had a similar thought that I thought, well, my followers will just go everywhere. Like, you know, all the other sort of creators who are bigger than I had big followings all over, and they didn't seem to be doing anything that strategic. It was just other ways to connect with them. But I think, you know, I was in that sort of second wave of creators where actually you got to build a completely new audience on each different platform. So I didn't have my followers follow me over there. But I remember, a couple of years ago, I was like, oh no, this year I'm gonna prioritize. I think I'm actually quite lucky on Instagram and TikTok. I just said, look, I'm just going to start posting once a week, like sort of shorts and reels and whatnot. Because, you know, as we all know, Instagram was a photo posting platform, and you could just post photos and grow that way. But then they switched to prioritizing reels. And so I managed to go from, I don't know, like I was stuck on like 20,000 followers on Instagram for years. And then eventually I after posting reels weekly, I climbed up to, you know, well, I think I'm on 75,000 now. So it's like, it's not bad, but that's sort of stalled is what I found. TikTok was the same, where I went from 0 to 150,000 in like 6 months just from posting weekly. But then again, I think there was like this shift in the algorithm on both platforms at the same time, where where it was much less likely that you could go viral just by posting regularly, because they were trying to, I guess, share the love. So, because their whole philosophy, I mean, this is quite well known. I think that that they try and give you, if you're putting in some serious effort, they try and give you at least one, if not viral, semi-viral video early on to give you that sort of euphoric feeling of wow, man, this is amazing, and it does. It hooks you. And so therefore you keep going in order to try and recreate that. Yeah, TikTok, big time. But that
I was gonna ask you a question, Sam, on the Instagram strategy in particular. Do you find yourself, because obviously you found a way to grow there, which is using Reels.
Yes.
How did you fit that in with your your content? Is, you know, always very elaborate. You know, you can tell you spend a lot of time. And I can't imagine how much time you spend editing those videos. So how do you find time to write? Do you say, actually, for Instagram is going to be a completely different video, or is going to be related to the video you're working on right now? You know, how do you?
Yeah, good question. And the answer is this: it is actually all. And don't jump to conclusions here, because I got to provide some context. It is all, in theory, repurposed content from my long form YouTube stuff, But that being said, it isn't. I've had some.
It's not just a
editing.
cut; it's proper.
No,
re-edited.
it's not just a cut. And I've actually, I did have some like just in experimental, just had a few, and but they never did well. Like they go, oh, you know, we'll post daily things for you, or whatever. So that's one thing. That just does help a little bit. So for example, you know, a couple of months ago or a month ago, I did a video called 15 secret apps you can't find on the Play Store. And those always do very well spliced up into shorts. However, I don't find that the way that I script my long form videos doesn't work because I'll go, next up on the list is blah, blah, blah. So you can't, at the start of a reel, go next up on the list is so forth. So I re-script the whole thing. Obviously, I take the body of each, and that's fairly similar. But I re-script it so that not only it has a punchy hook, and but I also do it so that it has a loop back to the start. So that at the end of it, I'll go something like, and so that's why cut back to the start. This is a crazy app that you won't find on the Play Store or whatever, right? Because in theory, it's just one of those strategy things where you go, well, in theory, people didn't know that the video ended, so they'll keep watching a bit longer. And once the algorithm goes, oh, that person rewatched it, it helps to funnel it out. Anyway, it's just one of those small things. And now I'm kind of addicted. I just like the format of it.
Which is why I'm asking, because I've tried that. It is hard to do, for every video to come up with a loop, to come up with an idea. It's not just repurposing content, and it takes time. I mean, the ones I do have that in mind as well, but I struggle to just find the time to do it.
Well, that's exactly it. That's where you need the team behind you. We all got these great plans we want to do, but
so just to add extra context, I also do for my shorts, I outsource the editing. So that is one thing that I don't edit myself.
Okay, good.
I have in the past, like early on, actually, when I had my most success was when I was editing it myself. As soon as I started outsourcing it, they've sort of dipped a bit. But I think that was just coincidence to be completely
but you're still
honest
finding
with you.
time to script, record it, come up with the idea.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So the editing's almost the quick part of it, to be honest. Yes,
it
it's
is.
freeing
It
up
is.
Yeah.
100%. And so, because I sit down, I film new A-roll for every single short. And then I have to edit that. I splice that up for them. Because I want them to get the loop right and whatnot. And then I just send them, a batch of 10, and then they go and take the B-roll from the video. And we don't even really do captions anymore because I was finding them, they just looked a bit silly. And they used to do all fancy graphics and whatnot. And I'm like, nah, just don't do that. Just let's keep it simple. So it's really, really basic stuff. But it just is probably a day of work for me a month that I don't have to do, I guess, which is, I guess, a cost I'm willing to. I think it's worth it, but I could probably do it myself, and it wouldn't. But the thing is, like I've stopped finding regular success. Every now and then I'll find another video goes big, but it's interesting. But the other thing is, just sorry to finish up this line of thinking, is that my videos have quite, they have excerpts to them, if you will. So it does work. Like, whereas I know you guys kind of do like broader, like, I can't really do it for a phone review, for example, because that's I've tried and you can, but you have to, that's a lot of work to condense like a full video into
but obviously a top tip lends itself very clearly too.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
You want to try
like,
this, bang.
Yeah, exactly. And so like Daniel, when you don't do these mistakes on your phone, that sort of a video, that would lend itself very well to a short, to just pull out one of those, make it sure it's 45 seconds long and just super punchy. You'd have to re-record the A-roll and re-script it just to make it that. But at least you've got all the B-roll ready to go. And those garner lots of clicks on YouTube. So there's a high chance that they'd garner lots of clicks on Instagram and TikTok as well. But that's the thing. You've got to have sort of listicle style videos and things like that to be able to then repurpose them into bite-sized bits easily.
And I thought about that, like the list ones that I do, and I'm like, I should turn these into shorts. Like especially the ones, the controversial mistakes, like don't use the navigation buttons. People would click on that, but.
Well, no, sorry, hang on. Sorry, Daniel, just to interject really quickly. They're not clicking on it. It's nothing to do with the title. It's, you got to hook them with that opening line. So that's what I'm saying. You go, stop using navigate. Well, you should. The video will start with, you got to stop using this feature on your phone right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So that's why you got to you can't, so that's why you got to film new A-roll, because if you just go, right, the next issue that I see people making on it, right, people go, what's this? Move on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I might start doing this again. I've tried it a few times where during the script for the long form, I'll include the line for the short. It's just a case of
that's good.
remembering for every video. But so
Yeah.
that when you're editing, you can select a bit, like put it at the end, and then at the end you just know there's some short content in there. But that's a way to kind of minimize, because you're already in front of the camera, you're already recording the A-roll. So batch record the reels within the A-roll. And it kind of did work. But the problem I have is some of the stuff that I talk about, they don't have a long shelf life. So if I take too long to edit those little clips, they become irrelevant and end up in a So there's a bunch of videos I could like do it, but now it's too late, because
I reckon you take the Parker Burton, right, who was the guy who spoke at the Samsung launch event for the Folds, right, and like he's killing it, man. He is like, he just defines the sort of
machine.
The tech, on the short form stuff. And if you just look at his stuff, it's so timely as well. Like, you know, even the fact that I remember I was so impressed at the start of the year at the first Unpacked event that he had like a real short but very engaging, well-made video put together on the S25 Edge. But he was just there, like he didn't even hold the phone or anything, but just the way that he put it together.
It's all about timing sometimes. Yeah.
Oh man, and it blew up because it was just so pertinent to that time. But again, if you wait a week or whatever, and then the buzzes
my best
died down.
ever Instagram reel wasn't even me holding the thing. I pointed my phone at someone else demonstrating this. I think it was a Xiaomi camera lens that you can attach to the phone. I saw that at MWC. I filmed this guy, and then I added a voiceover after a couple of beers as well in the evening. Said, this is not going to do anything. Uploaded it, and it's like 250,000 views in a few days.
Yeah, wow. That's crazy, man.
But it's like, I spent so much time in producing this thing, and they do like 5,000 views.
It stings, right?
Blew up.
That's the thing. It stings, man, because like the stuff that you think should do well, and it doesn't. And and that's the thing. And like I often wonder, do we do a disservice, or are we not helping ourselves out? The answer is I don't think we are, by making the content too polished.
The production.
Yeah. If the content's too polished, people go, "Oh, this is an ad," and they skip. But I can't bring myself to making content on the phone. I just can't do it, man.
I know the feeling. Yeah, it's hard.
The true definition of a nerd. It's got to be on the camera, right? It's got to be on the camera. Yeah,
it's got to be.
I'm feeling him.
Yeah,
Sam, been brilliant. When should we book another date now, or what should we do?
Well, only if you guys there.
You know?
I'm not begging again like I did last time. So look, I'm keen, boys. We'll come back and do another one.
Fantastic. Cheers, Sam.
Thanks for having me, lads. Thanks.
We've done a good one there. So again, if you're still listening to us on Apple Podcasts, those apparently 5-star reviews really matter. Help us get us in the charts and stuff like that. And if you do listen to us at Hype, and if you listen to us on Spotify, we now have the video on Spotify as well, so you can have the best of both worlds. There you go. We will be back in 2 weeks' time. The Tech Podcast.
Is that Apple event 2 weeks' time as well, or is it just before?
Just after, won't it be? 9th of September.
It is going to be after.
Just after, yeah.
Well, lots to.
I'm going off on location. When mine turns up on the 19th, which is when we see them, I'm going from location to shoot some video for. I've just been sorting out an Airbnb this morning where I'm going to go and stay and blah blah blah. The lights of Birmingham are getting me.
The big dog.
Yeah, look at me travelling, driving a miles, begging for views. I'll give you a different backdrop. Please watch me. Boys, been fantastic. Really enjoyed that. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.